just worth bearing that in mind. Even if you haven't got rules, you've got rules. The problem with the rules that you don't define is that they change. They're in your head, and they change. So they'll change from day to day depending on your mood, probably. I mean, you go in one day and you've just won the lottery, and there's one kid stabbing another one at the back of the class, and you look at little monkeys there. Boys will be boys, won't they? You know, when you go in the next day and you've got the hangover, I've heard teachers say, there's too much whispering in it. So they change. Now, it's the same again. Compare that with the academic. Compare a situation where you go and you say, right, okay, now this is how you do long multiplication. You put that number there, like that, okay, right. And then the next day you go and you say, forget that first way, I don't like that first way, I've got a different way now, don't put that. And the third day you go and you say, I don't like either of those first two ways, I've got a brand new way of teaching long multiplication, here it is, it's a cracker. And then the fourth day you go, you see, remember that first way? Actually, I prefer that first way. I think it's got something to recommend it. So, it's obvious, isn't it, when you think about it? If you kept changing the way that you taught, or the strategy, the techniques you had for developing academic skills, you wouldn't be surprised if they became confused and didn't learn them. So we've got to have a certain degree of consistency, a reasonable degree of consistency, around about a 7 out of 10 most of the time, that firms this up, so makes it more clear. Make your expectations applicable to the level of the group, what I've already referred to. The more difficult, sillier the group, the clearer you need to make your expectations, is my general view. Consider having written rules. I mean, there are some systems of behaviour management that think that it's all to do with having written rules. But I don't think it's quite as straightforward as that, because I wouldn't have written rules with a well-behaved group. You remember that when I said use the lightest possible touch and the least restrictive structures? If you've got a group that's fundamentally well-behaved, I wouldn't write the rules upon the wall, because you're actually moving them away from that independence. They're already doing quite nicely. They don't. What happens sometimes, I mean, you must have had this situation with your own kids, I want you to do the washing up 2 nights a week. And they won't do it any more than 2 nights a week, will they? You know, whereas before, if you'd left it fairly open, they may well have done. So you don't want to put any more sort of structure on, you don't want to put any more restrictions, you don't want to make it any more black and white than it needs to be. And having written rules can do that. But I would have written rules for a group that was a problem. That would be my way of firming up that clarity and that expectation. What happens when teachers do have written rules is that they only get referred to when they're broken if you're not careful. You put the written rules up on the classroom wall, on the care situation, and then we ignore them when they're keeping to them, and when they break them we go, excuse me, rule 3. What's rule 3? Rule 3 says stay in your seat. You're not in your seat, lad, are you? Get in your seat. Now that's not the spirit of positive behaviour. I mean, the spirit is that when they're keeping to the rules, you tell them. So having the written rules up on the wall is, as I've suggested, I gave you an example this morning, just one small step. They won't work by osmosis. If you don't refer to them, it will become like the fire notice that nobody takes any notice of. Maximum of 5, very scientific, as you can imagine. Absolutely, must be 5. This is the Goldilocks principle. Again, it's what I said to you this morning. You could have 1 rule, you could have 20 rules. In my view, 1 rule's not enough and 20 is too many. I think 5's about right. I use the Goldilocks principle an awful lot in life to determine whether I think it's the right decision or not. You know what I mean by the Goldilocks principle, right? No. It was, I saw it on a TV programme. There was this eminent geologist, top man in the field, bear in mind, who was asked by the interviewer, why do you take 10,000 years as a measure of significance or something like that? And this eminent geologist said, well, you know, if it took 1,000,000 years, people would say, oh, that's too long. And if it took 1,000 years, people would say, that's not long, you know. So it take 10,000 years. I thought, well, that'll do for me, pal. That's the top man in the field, eminent geologist can say that'll do for me. So I think 5's about right in terms of the Goldilocks.